Imagine a town called Seabrook, where humans, vampires, aliens, and even zombies live together in incredible peace and harmony. But behind this tranquility lie ancient secrets and a thrilling legend. The legend says a massive space rock crashed into Earth and split in two, creating two mythical species, vampires and daywalkers. These beings have isolated themselves in another realm, unseen by the people. The collision also resulted in a magical garden where their main food, the blood fruit, grows. But over time, the fruit began to dwindle. This is where the conflict started. The daywalkers and vampires began a bitter feud over the valuable fruit because it was no longer enough for them all. We meet our hero Zed, a zombie, who tells us he lives normally among the humans, studies at university, and loves to play football. At the same university is Addison, half human, half alien, who dreams of leading the cheer squad again just like she did in high school. Zed and Addison are friends, but their studies kept them from meeting up. When the school year finally ended, they reunited. Zed offered to drive Addison and her friends Willa and Eliza back to the city. Meanwhile, in the town of Suncrest, home to the Daywalkers, we meet Nova. She's training her clan's fighters for the inevitable war against the vampires. A little girl fearfully asked her, "Do we have to go to war just for food?" Nova sadly replied, "Unfortunately, yes, so the vampires don't take it all." Suddenly, Nova has a vision featuring a vampire named Victor. Her father, the leader Bright, wakes her, emphasizing that he relies on her for their war. Victor, the vampire, was getting his friends some blood fruit and planning to leave their city for the outside world. But his aunt, the leader Eledris, head of the vampires, was motivating her clan to prepare for war against the Daywalkers and head to the ancient garden for the blood fruit harvest. As Zed, Addison, and their friends drove through the forest, an intense energy wave suddenly hit. Zed's wristband, which kept him looking human, malfunctioned. His appearance began to change. He panicked and lost control of the car, which flipped into the forest. Luckily, they were all okay. Desperate to find the source of the energy, they decided to split up and search. Addison found a gate that took her to the town of Shadowbrook. Surprised by the large city, she decided to ask the residents about the energy source. At the same time, Zed entered a gate that led him to Suncrest, where he found the Daywalker clan heading to the ancient garden. Addison let the vampire clan, who were also on their way to the garden. When Eledris learned Addison was an alien, she wanted to imprison her. But Victor intervened and convinced Eledris not to, promising to be responsible for Addison throughout the journey. And Eledris agreed. Addison thanked Victor and noticed a drawing of a girl he dropped. He told her he dreams of the girl often, which is why he draws her. The girl in the drawing turned out to be Nova. The Daywalkers reached a tunnel in the forest, passed through it, and headed toward the ancient garden. The vampires reached the tunnel, crossed it, and walked in the sunlight for the first time, discovering it didn't hurt them. When they saw the Daywalkers, they prepared to attack, but the Daywalkers raced toward the garden to get the blood fruit first. The vampires quickly followed, and everyone met at the garden gate. Both sides got ready to fight, but Addison blew her whistle and stopped them. They noticed the garden gate needed 3 keys. Addison suggested the Daywalkers and vampires cooperate, with each clan forming a team led by a captain to search for the keys and then share the blood fruit harvest. Willa stressed this was a good solution, especially since there was a nearby camp where they could stay. Leader Bright was persuaded by Addison and Willa's wisdom, agreed to the idea, and extended his hand to Eledris as a sign of peace. Bright chose his daughter Nova to lead the Daywalker team. Eledris chose her nephew, Victor, to lead the vampire team. However, Nova was shocked to learn her father, Bright, planned to seize the entire harvest once they entered. She was distraught that he changed his mind, but he insisted the Daywalker clan's interest was paramount and demanded she promise to follow his command. Nova reluctantly promised and walked away. That night, the teams reached the camp. realizing it was a place their ancestors stayed before the war over the blood fruit. Addison was excited to spend time with Zed. Nova went to observe Victor to confirm he was the person from her dreams. Here's a surprise. Willa is a vampire descendant. She used her power to control Vera, Fargus, and the rest of the team, forcing them to sleep to prevent them from attacking the Daywalkers. The next day, the Daywalkers went to the vampire cabin. When the first vampire came out, they shot at him, but Willa emerged and scared them off, and they ran away. Addison spoke with Nova, and Zed spoke with Victor, getting close to persuading them to work together to find the keys. Despite the difficulty convincing their groups, Nova and Victor talked privately and managed to get the two clans to cooperate indirectly. They found a symbol matching the one on the garden gate. Nova figured out the key was hidden behind it. She manipulated the circles in a specific way, and the gate key appeared. She grabbed it, ran to the gate, placed it, and it opened. Everyone was thrilled. They returned to the camp to rest, preparing to search for the second key. That night, Daywalkers and vampires sat together and ate dinner. Zed sat with Addison, Eliza, and Willa. Suddenly, another energy wave hit, affecting everyone. Eliza explained the energy wave could hit their city any time, making everyone worry about their families. They decided they had to find the energy source and stop it immediately. Outside, Nova was surprised to find Victor behind her. They discussed the shared visions they were having and realized the only explanation was that they shared a single destiny. Victor wanted to show her something, so they walked into the forest together. However, Ray, a Daywalker, saw them and disapproved. Victor and Nova reached a dark place. Nova used her power to light a fire and discovered the place was a joint temple for Daywalkers and vampires, which was evident from the symbols. Nova was confused by the current animosity, given that their ancestors lived in peace. Nova told Victor they must end the feud because they would be the leaders of their clans in the future. Victor agreed and told her he changed his mind about leaving the clan after meeting her. They danced and sang together, filled with joy. They reached another spot where Nova noticed symbols of the moon phases and rainbow colors that were out of order. They realized they needed to arrange the symbols to reveal the gate key. They successfully arranged them, and the key appeared. Nova gave the key to Victor to open the second gate. The next morning, Nova and Victor arrived at the gate, and Ray curiously asked what they were doing. Their answer was to show him the gate key. Victor placed the key and the second gate opened. Only the last key remained. Suddenly, the ground shook violently and a huge stone ball emerged, engraved with the sun symbol and the moon symbol, and below them the sentence, "Only one team will win." Everyone understood it was a competition. The Daywalkers win by pushing the ball toward the sun, and the vampires win by pushing it toward the moon. Both teams started racing to push the ball first, but a massive energy wave struck, affecting Zed more intensely than ever, causing him to collapse and lose consciousness. Everyone rushed him back to the camp. After examining him, Eliza confirmed he was improving. They all decided they had to find the energy source immediately and asked Addison to stay with the two clans until they returned. Addison calmed the clans about Zed, but she was worried for her friends. Zed, Eliza, and Willa moved through the forest, following the energy signal until they reached a giant rock. Zed decided to disable his wristband to transform into a zombie, increasing his strength to move the rock. Zed succeeded, finding a large pit underneath. Zed decided to descend, tying himself with a rope and asking Eliza and Willa to hold it. But the rope snapped suddenly and Zed fell into the pit. At that moment, the ground collapsed beneath Eliza and Willa, and they fell too. Addison and the others heard the collapse and quickly headed toward the sound. At the pit, Willa and Eliza were horrified to see a large rock had fallen on Zed. They gathered their strength and pushed the rock off him. Looking around, they found a massive tower built over the bloodfruit roots. with a broken section of the tower resting on the roots. That's when they realized everything. The energy waves were a distress signal from the bloodfruit roots. Zed decided to move the tower and clear the broken piece from the roots. Just then, Addison arrived with the Daywalkers and vampires. Everyone worked together, helping Zed until they successfully moved the tower away from the roots. Everyone was happy with their achievement. In this moment, Victor and Nova understood the true meaning of the sentence on the stone ball. Only one team will win. It meant the vampires and Daywalkers had to unite and become one team to truly win, but the clan members rejected the idea. Addison climbed to a high spot and spoke to them until she convinced them to cooperate as a single team. When they returned to the camp, Ray spoke to Nova alone. He reminded her of her promise to her father, Bright, to take the entire bloodfruit harvest. A vampire was watching them, and upon hearing Ray's words, she immediately left to inform Aladrez. Nova assured Ray she disagreed with her father's plan and would cooperate with the vampires. The next day, Daywalkers and vampires gathered at the stone ball. For the first time, they noticed the combined sun and moon symbol. They united and pushed the ball until it rested over the symbol. The ball opened, revealing the gate key inside, but it was encased in a crystal. The Daywalkers and vampires worked together again, combining the sun's energy with the wind's energy and successfully melting the crystal. Victor took the key and opened the last gate to the garden. They entered, celebrating their success, only to be surprised by an enormous amount of bloodfruit, contrary to what their leaders had told them. Suddenly, Leader Bright and the rest of the Daywalker clan appeared, and at the same moment, Leader Tiggus arrived with a group of vampires. Bright felt betrayed by his daughter Nova, and Nova realized Ray had informed him. Aledris thanked the girl who told her about the Daywalker's intentions, and she announced to Bright that she wouldn't let him take the bloodfruit. The two leaders exchanged attacks. Bright hit her with a sphere of sun energy, and Aledris countered with a sphere of wind energy. When the two spheres collided, a massive energy wave occurred, burning half the bloodfruit harvest. Bright and Aledris left to prepare for war. The Daywalker and vampire teams packed their things to return home. But Eliza took her friends to the bloodfruit roots to analyze the change in energy pulses and find a cure for Zed, who was severely affected. Zed was scared he would fully transform into a zombie and never return to his human self. Nova and Victor arrived, discovering the tower had slots for the Moonstone for the vampires and the Sunstone for the Daywalkers. They realized placing the two stones together might heal the energy coming from the bloodfruit roots. They rushed back to the camp and stopped their friends, convincing them to cooperate to return the stones to their place, assuring them it was the only way to achieve eternal peace, and they agreed. They waited until the Daywalkers and vampires left their areas to fight. Nova attacked the Sunstone guards, defeated them, and took the Sunstone. At the same time, Victor managed to take the Moonstone after fighting the vampires guarding it. Bright and Aledris arrived at the garden, shocked to find the bloodfruit had completely vanished. They searched until they discovered all the fruit was gathered by the tower. They demanded Zed and his friends hand over the fruit, but they refused and prepared for battle. Suddenly, Victor and Nova arrived with the Sunstone and Moonstone, quickly climbing to place them atop the tower. Victor created a circle of wind energy to shield them from the attacks of leaders Bright and Aledris, who strongly opposed what they were doing. The tower shook violently and was about to move. Zed rushed to support the tower and hold it steady, forcing him to fully transform into a zombie to do so. They succeeded in placing the stones in their slots. The Moonstone and Sunstone united, releasing a huge energy that caused rain to fall. Zed was healed when the rain touched his body. The bloodfruit root's energy was cured, and vast quantities of bloodfruit appeared throughout the garden. Sprite and Aladriz were proud of Nova and Victor as they proved to be true leaders who did the right thing for the benefit of their clans. Everyone sang and danced happily. In the end, Zed and Addison agreed to spend the summer together to make up for lost time. Nova and Victor stood by the sea when suddenly a huge, strange hurricane occurred. And here the movie ends. Do you think this hurricane is the start of a new adventure? Share your predictions. Did Zed, Nova, Victor, and Addison truly achieve peace? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below.